Hi, I'm Liz O'Hara, and I'm so happy to be with you here today at the Faith, Hope, Love Summit. I'm going to be sharing with you today some practices that you can take with you, whether they become complementary practices or techniques that you use with other energy healing work, or just these quick tools or techniques that you can use to just bring more peace and relaxation into these moments in your life. And so before I do that, I feel like I want to share this story with you. It will sort of frame the way we talk about energy. So there was this day not too long ago where I walked outside from the supermarket into the parking lot, and it had just stopped raining. You could still sort of see the droplets, a few little droplets forming. And in the sky was this like giant rainbow, like giant. And there were a lot of people, like more than I usually notice, who stopped to look at it and take it in. And so I'm going to invite you for a moment to that parking lot with me. And I'm going to invite you to look around that parking lot with me. And you might see one person standing there who says, wow, God is so good to us that not only has he given me this amazing life, but that he lets us experience these types of moments, as part of our experience here on earth. And there might be another person who's thinking, I woke up this morning and I really felt like I needed a sign. I asked for a sign. And now I know that I'm on the right track. And then there's another person looking at this very same rainbow that we're looking at. And they're in complete awe because light is traveling through these droplets of water and refracting in a way that turns into this amazing display that we get to experience in the sky. And now I'm going to invite you to continue this way, to think about the person who believes that two of these things are true, and another person who believes that two of these things are true, but they're not the same two things. And that there's another person who believes all of these things to be true. And that there's still another person who I didn't even think of the thing that they're in awe of, that feels true to them. And so when I'm talking today about energy, I'm going to invite you to experience it the way that makes sense to you, that feels true to you. And the words that I'm using, my intention is to use the words that feel true to me, but that also allow other people to access the energy in the way that they want to or need to access it. Okay, and so shifting from rainbows, we're going to be talking first about Reiki, which is rainbow light, right? And so our bodies have this, we can think of it as this white light that's been divided into a prism within the center of our body. We've got our red root chakra and our sacral chakra, and then our yellow solar plexus, our heart chakra, that blue throat chakra, our third eye, and then that beautiful violet crown above us. Many of you may know this already, but those chakras are also repeated in our hands. And so the first tool or technique that I'd like to share with you today has to do with the palm chakras. And so whether or not you're a person who gives Reiki or has received Reiki or just knows that we have chakras, we can all do this. And so we're going to start in the center of the hand, and with our thumb, we're just going to press on that center and sort of ignite that power of Reiki within our hand. All right. And so then our next stop is going to be the root chakra. I'm going to hold this way so you can see. So it's right under the palm right here. And so we're going to press here next. And then we're going to go back to the center. And you can almost think of this as giving yourself a Reiki treatment, but our next stop is to actually sort of bring this energy to our hands so that we can use it for this second technique that I'm going to introduce. So then our third stop is going to be the sacral chakra, which is right at the edge of our palm, the opposite edge. And then we'll go back to center. And then here is where we have the solar plexus and the heart. So the yellow and green are going to be right under our middle finger, and we're going to actually just do those together. And then back to the center. And then we're going to go up the thumb. So we're going to start at the base of the thumb, throat, center of the thumb, third eye, and the tip of our thumb, which is our crown. And then back to center. And then we can do this on the other hand. In the gift basket, I have a handout, and I'll go through all of these exercises, but I also include a visual of where those chakras are in case you didn't catch it. But we are going to do it again over here. So we're going to start with the center, okay? Opening that energy. Then our red root, back to center. Sacral chakra, orange, back to center. Yellow and green, solar plexus and heart, back to center. And then up the thumb. Blue, indigo, violet, and back to center. And now we have this energy, the same energy that's within the center of our body, within our hands. Okay, so I'm going to invite you to take a breath with me. And inviting you to feel that, what we might call the empty space between your palms, even though it's not really empty. It's filled with energy. It's filled with air. And atoms and molecules. Okay, so that is a quick way to balance your energy. And if you ever feel sort of overwhelmed, another simple thing to do with that is to press the palm. Go to this grounding point at the root. Hold it until you feel something shift. And then go back to center. And hold it until you feel something shift. Okay. So, the next practice we're going to do involves using our intuition, being guided by what we feel. And this is a practice that's going to combine the energy with our hands and also our physical and emotional bodies. So we often talk about our physical, emotional, and energetic bodies, right? But the reality is we're one person, right? And so we're all of that all the time. And so that's why energy healing, in my experience, really works to shift, smaller discomforts, and also, offer support with larger, more complex conditions as well. For right now, we're going to go into an emotional point. So something that's been on your mind, or something that may be causing you stress or worry. And if you happen to be a person who has literally no stress or worry or anything on your mind that sort of is nagging at you, then you can observe. For the rest of us, I'm just going to invite you to call something in. It could be something really heavy. It could be something kind of, just small. And I'm going to invite you actually to just close your eyes for a moment and feel where you're feeling that in your body. Like if I ask you to feel where that stress or discomfort or that nagging feeling is in your body, I'm just going to ask you to pick a spot. And then we're going to trust, I'll talk a little bit more about this later, our intuition. So if you're not sure, just pick the spot that you think it is, because we're going to move anyway. Okay? All right. So mine right now is on my back, right here. Okay? And so I'm going to put my hand there. I'm just putting my right hand because it's not comfortable to put both, but maybe you want to put both. And I'm going to ask, is this the source, the root in my body of this discomfort that I'm feeling? And I'm getting a no, so I'm going to move it again. And I feel that it's here, so I'm going to move my hands here. And I'm going to continue to do that. Is this the source or the root of where I'm feeling this in my body? And I'm going to get a no again. But I will say that my back feels less stressed now. And so I'm going to move again. And so now my hands are on my belly. And I feel that this is the root. This is the source of my discomfort around this thought that I've been having. And then you have a choice now. If you feel like you want to just hold your hands there and let that Reiki energy and let a loving energy flow to this spot to sort of ease that discomfort, you can do that. And if you want to ask a question, you can do that. So my question is, could I have done something to prevent this from happening? And my answer that I'm getting, that I'm feeling, is it's no, and it's also that it's serving a purpose. And so I'm just going to sit with that for a moment. And then you can sit with yours. Okay, so that is the second technique. I call that body intuitive connection, because you're using your intuition, you're being guided by sort of your physical body, and you're also addressing something in your emotions. And most of us know that our emotions actually affect our physical well-being. So we're actually using all three there. We're using energy to address what's physically happening in our body and how our emotions are involved. Okay. So, I mentioned this for a moment earlier, but I'd like to just go back to this one thing real quick. Because the third technique has to do with ancestral healing. And the technique that I'm going to share is not really deep work. It's a touch point to ease something, to not feel so alone in a moment. And like I said earlier, it's a great thing it's great to do on its own. It's a great thing to combine with other energy healing work. And in my experience, when we get deeply into ancestral healing work, the support of, a practitioner or some sort of coursework actually makes a difference, because ancestral healing or clearing work can be sort of like the source of things can be sort of complex, and things can sort of be interwoven in certain types of ways. And so things may not always be straightforward. But having said that, I also really truly believe that we are all capable of healing ourselves. And that's the reason that I'm offering these 3 techniques that I feel that anybody could do anytime. So for instance, we all have chakras in our body, right? And we were all born with intuition. And so a lot of people are seeking to learn how to use their intuition. But another way to frame that is to think about that what we're actually learning is how to reconnect with something that we already have, that's already within us, that's an innate part of us. So I'm just going to invite you to think of a time when what you knew to be true was so true that it didn't matter what anybody else said. It could be, the moment you fell in love, the moment you fell out of love, the job you decided to take, the job you decided to leave. It could be even something smaller than that. But whatever the thing is, you didn't care what anybody else had to say about it. Your gut said, this is what I'm going to do, even if you didn't do it. And even if it wasn't true forever, in that moment, you are being told something by something within you, something without, and that's your intuition, right? Another example I like to use is, because this actually happened to me yesterday, when you call somebody. I actually got a phone call yesterday that I know wasn't a coincidence, from somebody I hadn't spoken to in a long time. But when you call somebody because they come into your mind, or they come into your mind and then they call you, right? That's also can be intuition as well, right? That's all part of it. And so why can't we use that to support, our physical selves, our overall well-being, others? And we probably already do in ways we don't even realize. Okay, so having said that, support helps with ancestral work, and also learning how to trust yourself through these processes is also a gift you can give yourself. So this technique has to do with the left side of our body, which we often call the divine feminine side, and the right side of our body, which we often call the divine masculine. The reason this is important to note is because we're going to be calling in the comfort of our ancestors. And like I said, in moments when you feel maybe overwhelmed, maybe you're feeling kind of alone in something, it's nice to know that you're behind you, that they're behind you. So I'm going to invite you to feel the hand of your mother on your left shoulder. And I'm going to invite you to not see her. Maybe there are problematic dynamics, relationship, and so on. Not for all of us, but for those of you who have had that or have that now, This isn't about that. This is about the weight of everything behind her. And so I'm going to invite you to trust that outside of this earth that we live on, outside of these human bodies that we're in, where things do get complex and, there are stressors and emotions and entanglements, that there's another version of this person you call mother and her grandmother and grandfather and all of those people behind them. That's a soul version. We might say in spirit. And that they all see you and they're rooting for you. And so that weight on your shoulder, that just gentle weight on your shoulder, becomes a feeling of support. That there's a whole army of people behind you, standing behind your mother, who see you and want the thing that you want for yourself, for you. And we're going to do the same thing with your father. So you're going to put your hand on your right shoulder. And whatever entanglements, hardships, regrets, disappointments, anything like that is not part of this healing. It's a feeling of comfort. It's a feeling of belonging. It's a feeling of knowing that him and everyone behind him is rooting for you. They see you. You belong. So just take a breath and just rest those hands on your shoulder. And it feels like an army, but like a good army, standing behind you. So those are the 3 practices that I have for you today. Like I said, in the gift basket is a worksheet that has a write-up for each, includes the picture of the palm chakras, and a little bit of information about me. I wanted to spend our time together talking about how we could use these techniques. So I haven't said much about myself at all. But wishing you just an ever-expanding hope, love, peace, joy, going into the next few days, into the new year and beyond. And thank you so much for being with me today.